What's a conspiracy theory that later got proven to be true? The Lincoln assassination. That was a true conspiracy, with shadowy meetings and plans and everything. Besides Lincoln, they planned to kill the VP Johnson and Secretary of State Seward. Unlike movie conspirators, most of these guys were dolts. The VP assassin chickened out. Seward's would-be assassin succeeded in seriously wounding him but failed to kill him. JWB succeeded but was caught and killed a couple weeks later. They were all rounded up, and in the heat of the times were executed. Even Mary Surratt, who owned the boarding house where they met, was hanged. The doctor who set Booth's leg, broken during the escape, got 20 years in prison. People don't think of it as a classic conspiracy, because there wasn't a government or state-sponsored hand behind it. Try as they might, the feds could never find any proof that the Confederate leadership had anything to do with it. But it was a conspiracy nonetheless. The Epstein case really opened the door to conspiracies for me. I lost all trust in our government. Like this man had dirt on tons of high-level politicians and celebrities and magically kills himself before he has to testify? And nobody seems to be aggressively getting to the bottom of it? He was running child sex rings with world leaders. What the actual fuck? Why are we not up in arms over this? What's also shocking to me is how little the media covered it and how it's pretty much already blown over. What else has the government covered up? A rival of Thomas Jefferson revealed to the press that Jefferson had had an affair and several children with an enslaved person he owned, Sally Hemings, who was actually his late wife's half-sister. It was adamantly denied by the Jefferson family and historic foundations until recent DNA testing revealed it had been true. Edit. Just for further context, their arrangement was made while both Sally and Thomas were in France, where he was serving as American ambassador. At the time, Jefferson was age 44 to 46 while Hemings was age 14 to 16, and while Sally was a free woman while in France, there was certainly personal power dynamics at play. Sally, being only 1/8 African herself and by many accounts was passable, who could have chosen to stay in France, which was in poverty at the time on the edge of the French Revolution, made the decision to return to slavery in America under the stipulation that any children she would have would be freed at age 21. Sally also had a brother, James, who Jefferson brought to France to be trained in French cuisine, who also agreed to return to enslavement. To give context, whether there was affection and legitimate romance is unclear, as their relationship was never legitimized in Jefferson's writings or otherwise. The writings left from Sally's children say he never showed them any affection, though the Hemings were said to have received preferential treatment even before the arrangement. All 5 of Sally's surviving children were freed under the agreement, and when Jefferson died, Sally was given her time, no longer given forced tasks but never freed. When Sally died, she was buried in an unmarked enslaved person's grave. It may seem unthinkable now, but just a few decades ago the idea that the Catholic Church was knowingly harboring pedophiles among its ranks, and would move those child molesters to different locations with fresh victims when the people at their current location became suspicious, was thought to be a conspiracy theory only believed by total tinfoil hat nutcases. Shame it turned out to be horribly true. And the Catholic Church still hasn't cleaned up their act. If the choir boys are in less danger now, it's not because the church has cracked down on the predators, it's because normal people now know not to leave their kid alone with Father McFeely. Every single email being recorded by the US government, or rather the government spying on the entire nation without us ever really knowing it. Someone told me that shit when I was a teenager and I mocked them for such a foolish thought. And I was a geek. I knew how computers and networks and all that jazz worked. I just never thought the US would create goddamn data farms and sit there capturing every email sent. They have drives upon drives upon drives of data. So much that there is nowhere near enough staff to go through them all. And it took a hero named Edward Snowden to tell us the truth. And how does my country repay doing the right thing? They outcast him and call him a criminal, when they were the criminals to begin with. So fucking arrogant of me to think my government couldn't be that corrupt. And so disgusting that a good, honest man is chased from the country he loved. Fuck you, US government. IDC if you're a Dem, pub, centralist, whatever. You're all a bunch of corrupt little shits. And Snowden, in the highly unlikely event you're reading this, thank you. Thank you so much. There was a conspiracy that used to go around that a bunch of politicians, business owners, and actors spent 2 weeks in the California woods having orgies and sacrificing children. It was sometime between 1999 and 2001, but Alex Jones, who at the time was new to the reporting world, contacted the BBC and told them he wanted to prove the conspiracy. They sent him a BBC reporter and a camera, and they snuck into the supposed camp and captured footage of actors and politicians camping out together and burning child effigies in front of a giant owl statue. After 9/11 though, the shock factor quickly got tossed to the wind. But it was still proved, still happens, and there's still footage of the cremation of care ceremony at Bohemian Grove.